The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on August 1st, 2023.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. Now here's your host, Pam Tumpop. Good morning, Pam.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you this beautiful day?
Very good. How about yourself?
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for all you do for the show. And welcome to our guest. We're thrilled to have you on Business Matters this morning, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. We're excited to get an economic update with the second quarterly economic forecast in from Dr. Tian of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. Share some upcoming chamber events and continue learning about approved freight forwarders. It's really important for us to understand shipping options in Hawaii, as for businesses, that's one of our biggest costs. So we're going to learn more about them today. And we've been trying to bring them back for a while, so we're excited. Today's the day. But first, let's start off with Dr. Tian. He is the Economist and Division Administrator. His office conducts research on economic issues such as tourism, emerging industries, diversification, quality of life, technology, energy, and taxation, all subjects that are extremely important to us all. They also produce the official statewide short-range economic forecast on a quarterly basis, so we have continuing updates, and the long-range population and economic forecast every 5 years. So we love that they're looking both at the short term to keep us abreast so that we can make changes and pivots along the way, as well as that long-term economic forecast. Today we're going to talk about the second quarterly report, so good morning and welcome, Eugene.
Good morning, Pam, and good morning, Maui listeners. I'm happy to be online again to talk about our second quarter economic forecast.
You folks do such amazing work, and we are thrilled to have you on again and appreciate that you're constantly participating on the show and giving us these updates. I saw that with this quarterly report that the projected U.S. economic growth will increase by 1.1% for 2023 and 0.7% for 2024. But Hawaii's growth is projected to be higher. Please tell us about that and what factors go into Hawaii having a higher growth and how that will impact our businesses.
Yes, I think things change very rapidly. For example, the U.S. economic growth has been improving so rapidly. The number we used during our second quarter was the forecast for the U.S. In May. So in May, the Economist, the consensus is that the U.S. economic growth was at about 1.1%.
Okay.
That was an increase at the beginning of the year. The U.S. economy was projected to grow only 0.5%, 0.5%.
Wow.
But you see what happened even last week. The U.S. economic growth for the first quarter, it came to 1.8%. And the second quarter, released last week, it was 2.6%. Believe it or not, the increase in the accelerating of the economic growth rate, that makes it very possible that the U.S., even the U.S., will avoid the recession by the end of this year. But the Hawaii's economic growth, we have only the first quarter. It was even better than the U.S. The U.S. economic growth in the first quarter, 1.8%. Hawaii, 2.1%. Then we talk about unemployment rate. Hawaii, for the first half year, was 3%. And the U.S. was 3.6%. So we were better than the U.S. And another indicator, inflation. Everybody worry about the inflation, right? That's why the Federal Reserve Bank increased the interest rate even last week.
Yeah.
The Hawaii inflation first half 3.4%, U.S. 4.9%. So we were better than the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah, the last indicator I would want to describe is the growth of payroll jobs, the job count. For the first half year, Hawaii at 3.4%, and U.S. 2.7%. So we were better than the U.S. So that's why we projected that Hawaii's economic growth will be better than the U.S. It's mainly because we are actually still recovering. U.S. is fully recovered in 2021, but we are still recovering. Our economic recovery is about 97%.
Okay. And that's kind of on trend from what I, always heard, which is that we, in terms of our recovery, we lag the mainland. Would you say that that's true? That we continue to lag the mainland, but yet our recovery is showing, our economic forecast is higher, but we're still on the recovery side lagging. Is that a consistent trend, or does that fluctuate from decade to decade, I guess?
We are lagging because of Hawaii's economic cycle. We actually, historically, we didn't follow the U.S. And since 2000, we followed the U.S. cycle. Before, I think we pretty much followed the international, mainly Japanese economic cycle, because there's a lot of visitors coming from Japan. But now we are following the U.S. And I think because our economy is so concentrated on tourism and the tourism recovery, I think last year we recovered about 89%. And for the first half year, our recovery is about 95%. So because of tourism, recovery is lagging, especially international. The Japanese recovery was 13% last year. And now, by the end of June, our recovery is about 36.7%. So it's not even half. So we are lagging in tourism. And Maui, especially, is tourism dependent. I think about 45% of the Maui economy is on tourism. So I think, but Maui's recovery is better, is mainly because Maui is mainly the visitors is coming from the U.S. mainland. On a normal year, like 2019, is about 85, 15.
Yes.
85% U.S. visitors, 15 international. But the U.S. visitor is booming. We have about 12% more U.S. visitors than the peak in 2019. So Maui is actually benefited from the U.S. visitor arrivals. But I think since April this year, the U.S. visitor has been slowing down. It's mainly because people worry about the recession.
Right.
So Maui, actually, we have seen Maui visitor decrease since April. It's mainly the U.S. visitors is slowing down.
Mm-hmm. Well, that takes me to my next question is, as we're projecting for, we were starting to hear, again, kind of a soft summer, and yet the numbers that I was hearing kind of varied depending on different properties. What trends are you seeing with visitor arrivals and spending that you're projecting for the rest of 2023?
Yeah, I think the total, as I said, the visitor recovery last year in 2022 was 89%. And this year we projected we will have a 96% recovery, which means it's about 9.9 million visitors will be coming. And the full recovery to 10.3 million, it will happen in 2025.
Okay.
So, but for Maui, for the first half year, the recovery is about 95%. And the first half year is actually 97.5%.
Okay.
But I think because it's slowing down in the summer, the recovery in this year for the full 2023 for Maui, I think it will be about 95%, which means it will be lower than the first half for Maui, mainly because of the U.S. visitors. But given that the U.S. economy is performing much better than expected, I think that things may change.
Yeah. Well, we certainly hope so. and we're looking forward to a strong fourth quarter when things pick up. Yeah, it's interesting to see, and we are hearing reports that it's getting a little slower this summer than what people were seeing the first part of the year. So that's been interesting to watch businesses track their numbers. And we're seeing more and more really get very clear on what their numbers are. They do obviously track them all the time to project, but it's been an interesting trend to see. And of course, everybody I know is still looking for workers. So folks, if you're looking for a job, there's lots of opportunities right here in Maui County. I know that this report also reports something that's very exciting to us, which is building permits. And the reason building permits are important to us, both in terms of private building permits and residential building permits, is we've got such a housing crisis. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in those numbers and how that is affecting our economy.
Yeah, I think another good news in the state is construction. And I would say the construction is booming, especially on Maui. And for the first half year, the volume of building permits, and I'm talking about the private building permits, increased 58.6%. For Maui, is leading the other counties. Is leading the counties is the highest growth, 58.6%. If you look at the construction jobs on Maui, is actually increased for Maui County, increased 6.8%. So the increase in construction is mainly in the commercial and the industrial sector. And we do see Maui also has an increase in the building permits in additions, alterations, and as well as the residential. So, but other counties, for example, Honolulu, they have a decrease in the residential, but Maui has a pretty good increase in residential construction. So construction industry is booming in the state, especially in Maui County.
That's very exciting and a great part of our diversification in addition to tourism to get the construction really going. Very exciting to hear. And one of the key things we're working on here is, again, workforce development for this industry. And our construction industry of Maui on Maui, the Trade Council of the Chamber on Maui is really working on apprenticeship programs to get more people ready and into that sector, which is fantastic. Great jobs and high wages that are helpful for our living wage. What are some of the other data points from the second quarter report that are highlights that you feel our listeners should really understand and know about?
Yeah, I think in terms of sales, the indicator will be the general excise tax. I think everybody pays, every business they pay a general excise tax. It's a comprehensive indicator about economic activity. So I see that there's a lot of sales statewide and especially on Maui. For example, in 2022, because it's a complete, I'm talking about the calendar year, the general excise tax collection from Maui County is actually an increase about 39.4% compared with 2019. So that is a big increase. But of course, there's some inflation involved. Between 2019 and 2022, the inflation is high. We don't have an inflation measure for Maui County, but for Honolulu, the price inflation is about 13%.
Wow.
So you think about it, if we subtract, say, 20% inflation for Maui County, we have about 39.4% increase in the tax collection, DET tax collection. You subtract 20% is due to the price increase. Then you still have around 20%. The increase is due to economic activity. I think partially is because of the visitors. Although the number is smaller than the 2019, but they spend much, much more than the 2019 level. You look at the hotel room rate, Maui, I think is very high. It's the highest among all the states. So one day somebody asked me, is that a mistake? The Maui County hotel room rate is 700 per night. So I thought, wow, that is really high. And then I did check the data, and it was true.
Yeah, we have had some really high room rates, and it's been again, as you point out, with inflation and rising costs. The packages, when you start looking at the hotel and the room and the activities and the meals, it's getting pretty high, and we've heard concerns about that from visitors. We've heard some backlash about that as well. I have a question on the GET because this year, of course, we took advantage of something that other counties had taken advantage of, which was the 3% GET increase that we could charge in our county. Are those numbers commingled, or are those separated out for historical tracking?
I thought that the county, other counties charge the hotel room tax we call TAT. The transit accommodation tax, I think that is the 3%. I think the counties are smart enough to charge their own hotel room tax, and they don't need to go through the state tax department to collect and distribute. I think the county, they charge directly from the hotels. I think because the visitor spending has been increased, especially the hotel room rate and the hotel sales increase. So that is really a good help for the counties they can charge the hotel room tax themselves.
I think that's very helpful. And are we seeing larger with some of these funds that we're now able to put towards infrastructure and construction? Do you think those have helped spur our construction industry? That added tax that began with rail and now other counties have been charging it. Do you think that added tax has contributed to the construction boom?
Yes, I think the economy, there are several sectors are booming. I think when we look at the tax revenue, especially from general excise tax, and then we look at the tourism recovery, we look at the labor market condition, we look at the construction, we are doing good. I think for the construction industry, especially for Maui, for example, it's mainly its own construction. Means that there are not many government construction like Oahu and Kauai, because Oahu, Kauai get a lot of federal construction projects. For Pearl Harbor alone, the total construction dollars is about $9 billion. So the Hawaii firms get about $4 billion of it. But all the $9 billion, the spending majority of them will be in Hawaii. So during the economic downturn or slowing down, the government put in a lot of construction dollars to help the economy. On average, the state government, for example, they spent about $1.3 billion. I think last year they spent $1.5 billion on the construction we call CIP project. Then I think those will help the economy, especially I think a lot of the construction on the other part of the state is the government construction is leading, but for Maui is mainly private. The 58.6% increase in the building permit I'm talking about on Maui is actually all private construction.
Yeah. I'm watching news reports across the nation, and they're talking about, the strong infrastructure bills at the federal level to, of course, get back to maintaining our infrastructure and roadways, and a lot of discussion saying we're just barely keeping up with the level of investment we're doing. We're sort of maintaining, but not really getting ahead of major repairs, so that we're constantly in a maintenance mode. How do you feel that correlates with Hawaii? Are we constantly with the investments we're making? Are we just barely keeping up, or are we getting ahead to the point where we're really constructing at a level that will have a longevity, so that we're not spending so much just in constant repairs?
Yeah, I think the construction industry is kind of complex because it's so many factors are related together. For example, it's related to the government, related to the real estate, and related to the population growth, and so forth. I think the governor proclamation is mainly to help with the housing affordability, because according to the housing agency study, the demand for housing statewide is about 10,000 units a year. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the market demand, so with the current price and people can afford it, the demand is only about 4,000 a year. But we do have a 60,000, about 60,000 a year. Those people wanted to buy their own properties, but they couldn't afford. So the affordability blocked people from purchasing their own properties, which I think everybody define as American dream. So I think the governor is trying to increase the supply, because this is a demand and supply, and he's trying to increase the supply by reducing the cost of construction, meaning eliminating or suspending a few regulations, the government regulations, to make the building permit process smoother and cheaper. So that will increase, by economic theory, that will increase the production of homes, given that the 10,000 units per year of demand unchanged. So I think this is a good move, and I think the newspaper defined it as an experiment, and we'll see how it goes.
We are thrilled to see housing increase. It's one of our top priorities, because we have so many hurting, and we're seeing more people leaving, Maui County. Is that something that the report also covers? Is how many people have left the island?
I think you are asking the very good question, because hardly anybody asks. I was very surprised when I see the number for Maui County. Actually, I got a question yesterday, someone asking about the Big Island. And Big Island was the only county that they did not lose population, which means that the people they are still increasing population. But the Maui County was a surprise. When I see the number, people are moving out of Maui. They are actually moving out of the state from Maui. That is surprising, because I know people have been moving from Oahu to the mainland, but now it's starting from Maui and also from Kauai. So we do see we lost population in the last few years. I think mainly because U.S. economy has been recovered much faster, and the economy was booming last year and the year before. Although they are the forecast was a little bit slower, but now the number seems is accelerating. So I think because of the last 2 years, the U.S. economy was growth. The growth was ahead of Hawaii, so a lot of people moving out of state. I think, including Maui. I think that's one way. One thing we need to pay attention. People leaving the state. I think normally the reason given is too expensive, especially the housing price. So to keep the residents stay where we are, I think one way is to make housing more affordable. I think that is a way to go.
Yeah, I think it's critical. You're right. I agree. We're losing residents, and it's not that they don't enjoy Hawaii. It's just the struggles are real and a huge challenge. And, of course, when we want to bring our children back home, the struggles are very real when they can afford bigger things and have higher incomes on the mainland and see, excellent housing prices in some areas. So we'll have to continue to work on it, but the governor's proclamation certainly helps. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us again this morning, for always coming in every quarter to share an economic update. We treasure your insights and the work that you do. You're such an asset to our state, and we just want to thank you and your team for all the hard work you do to keep us abreast and help us pivot and understand what's going on and correlate the trends.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. My pleasure to talk to Maui listeners.
We're always glad to have you. Well, I hope you have a beautiful day on Oahu today, and we'll have you come on again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Aloha, Eugene.
Aloha.
And we'll take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, Mokulele Airlines.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
Welcome back to Business Matters. Hey, Pam, so what's going on with the chamber nowadays?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Gary, for asking. We have so many things coming up, and I'm excited to share a little bit. The first thing coming up is coming up on August 25th. It's going to be at the Maui Beach Hotel, and it's our annual labor law seminar. And for this event, we bring in top attorneys from the employment law firm, one of the top law firms in the state of Hawaii, Torkelson Katz, and they present critical information for businesses and their employees. And often, the larger companies always send their HR directors, but this is a really important event for business owners and any top managers managing employees, because every year at the legislature, laws change. And one of the things that's so amazing about this is when you attend, you learn a lot in one day. It's really critical that you learn a lot in one day to catch up on all these laws that many owners and managers don't know because they're extremely busy. And they're not just state laws. They cover both state and federal laws. And so this year we're going to cover really having people revisit the employment relationship from the beginning and building that employee relationship and understanding, managing that employee relationship, making sure that discipline and discharge are handled correctly, following the proper steps, that we update everyone on rule changes at the National Labor Relations Board. And this board is constantly changing rules at a federal level that many people don't connect with or stay up to date with. They can have major implications when it comes to lawsuits, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And then leave and pay issues, understanding FMLA and FLSA. So understanding leave and compensation issues when your employees need to take leave leaves allowed by law, and disability law, and the interplay of disability with workers' compensation and TDI, which are insurance provisions that employers pay for to protect their employees. And so one of the things is, it's really hard to understand some of these laws. The way laws are written is not very intuitive for all of us. It's not written like a newspaper that just helps you quickly grasp the story. You kind of have to read between the lines and go through different scenarios. And at this labor law seminar, that's exactly what we do, is HR directors from different areas as well as business owners and managers are saying, well, what about a scenario like this? How would the law apply? What about a scenario like that? In addition to that great information, which really builds everybody's understanding, in addition to that, the attorneys from Tarkles and Katz also then review how it's playing out in the courts and help people see what the impacts are on businesses and what the challenges are and how these different laws are currently being addressed at the court level today. So that's really important. We always say that, one day at this labor law seminar can prevent many, many issues in your business operation and save businesses money. And not only do you get a full day of training on these topics and other topics, you also get a full copy of the lawyer's slideshow and the annual labor employment law manual, which you can take back to your office. It's a book. The book costs alone over $150. But you have an opportunity to take this book. If you didn't have a policy manual at all, this book would help you write it from beginning to end and save you months of work. If you do have a policy manual, you can also look at the book, and also we give you an online version, and you can quickly look things up and tweak your policies where maybe you're behind. And then not only do you get a chance to ask questions directly from the attorneys, but they always say you get one free call, which is priceless. So if you attend the seminar, they have the list of participants. They don't call you and solicit you, but you get one free call to get help with an issue. And the tickets also include continental breakfast and lunch. So if you are interested in this, if you just want to learn more about this, I really encourage you to just go to mauichamber.com and go to our events page. Tickets are on sale now, so you can actually buy tickets to this event, plan to send somebody from your organization, and share it with others. We find larger businesses will understand this, but how many times do we see medium and small businesses get into challenges, with employment issues? And the bottom line was they just didn't know all the laws. And then they didn't realize that the laws can change every year at a state and federal level. So it's important to keep up and to get the most up-to-date information. So we're excited to do that. It's one of the best ways that we can help protect so many businesses here in Maui County. And we're also planning this fall our upcoming annual Mayor Small Business Awards with Mayor Bisson. We are excited to be releasing applications shortly. And so this is the time for everybody in our county to be thinking about deserving small businesses. We recognize small businesses at different levels, so 10 or fewer employees, 11 to 35, and then 36 to 100 as small businesses. We recognize nonprofits and outstanding nonprofits. We recognize a small business person, a small young entrepreneur business person, and we recognize a long-standing business with over 20 years in business under our Lifetime Achievement Award. So everybody knows an outstanding business. It can be a vendor. It can be a partner business that you work with. Employees can nominate their own business. You can't self-nominate, but employees can nominate you. Friends can nominate you. Family, a lot of people that you do business with. I know my mother was saying she knew it. She's been waiting and waiting for the applications because she just wants to recognize a vacuum repairman who does outstanding business and has done that for many years. Everybody knows somebody. So look for these applications. They'll be coming soon. We'll do an announcement in the press. But you want to really think through and when you do the narrative, it's not that hard to do, but we want you to really describe the amazing work of the nominee. And we do ask for one letter of support from a third-party source. So in addition to the nominator describing the nominees, we ask for one letter of support. And it's really easy to do. And we recognize both the nominators as well as the outstanding business. And then we have an amazing dinner with the mayor and the community to honor these small businesses. So please plan on doing that this fall. Look to the Chamber's website for that, mauichamber.com. It's really easy. But right now what we want you to do is be thinking about amazing small businesses. And then lastly, the Made in Maui County Festival is upon us. It is always the first Friday and Saturday of November. This year, that would be November 3rd and 4th. And this is our 10th anniversary, and we have seen an outpouring of love from our community this year. Vendor applications went above and beyond. We received 178 applications for 140 spots. So there are going to be some tough choices to make. We've had over 50 new vendor applies. We've had returning vendors apply, and we've had vendors who have sometimes come in and sometimes not come in over the course of our now 10 years this November. But we're seeing people return. So some of your favorites may be coming back that maybe you've missed a few years. It's going to be a really exciting event. So always at the back. That'll be Friday and Saturday, November 3rd and 4th at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. Unfortunately, we are not extending the application deadline because we know we will already have a waiting list. But we always maintain a waiting list in case some people, who apply are unable to attend. We keep a waiting list so to invite others who have been qualified for the show. It's a juried show, and we're going through that jurying process soon, so be looking forward to the announcement on who has been selected for this year's event. And you can find this information and to learn more about the important economic development event and who's going to be coming, you can visit madeinmauicountyfestival.com, madeinmauicountyfestival.com. And if you would like to attend, please sign up for our newsletter so you'll get updates. Also, if you are a wholesale buyer or distributor for a retail operation and you would like to attend the Buyer's Show, which is a premier show for not all shoppers, but for wholesale buyers and distributors who buy products for retail, you can sign up to be invited to that as well. And so we just want to say for the 10th annual Hawaiian Airlines Made in Maui County Festival, we want to thank our sponsors, Hawaiian Airlines, Pasha Hawaii, Queen Ka'ahumanu Center, Dorvan Lays, First Hawaiian Bank, and Matson, as well as the County of Maui for their tremendous support. Sponsorships are still available. This is a great time for businesses to jump in, sponsor, connect with the over 140 vendors that we have and these small businesses, and support local manufacturing and buy Maui County first in our community. So we hope you'll join us. And I appreciate that, Gary. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share about some chamber things coming up. And I'm excited to welcome Guy Harshman of Approved Freight Forwarders back. I just want to remind you, because this is the third time's a charm for Guy, but we wanted to really have Guy back on because they are doing some amazing work in freight forwarding. And we're going to let him talk about why that's important to us all, because shipping expenses are high for many businesses, and we're looking for ways, especially in remote Maui County and Hawaii to find ways to reduce those shipping costs. Guy has more than 20 years he's been in the islands for more than 20 years, 6 of those now on Maui, with the remainder in Honolulu. He started in the fashion industry with Liberty House, has worked in both real estate and freight forwarding ever since, and currently services all islands with approved freight forwarders, handling Hawaii's needs of moving goods to and from the islands. So aloha, Guy, and welcome back to the show.
Hi, good morning, Pam. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. We are thrilled to have you back on. Last time when we spoke, we started talking about the work that you're doing and how you reduce costs and increase efficiencies when it comes to shipping to Maui. Can you give us a little bit of a recap of that conversation and remind everybody about this important work that you're doing?
Sure, absolutely. So I think one of the things we got to talk about first is that it's not just here in the island, but we depend on our mainland operation as well. A lot of merchandise that's coming over to Maui is coming from the mainland in particular. And so we have a mainland-based team with a warehouse there in City of Industry. So it allows us to offer like unbeatable pricing in our trucking lanes, lower warehousing costs. And so like if you're ordering from multiple vendors, you can consolidate all of that at our warehouse, and then we can ship it all over directly to you. And then the best way to save on that is to do that limited container load, or LCL, you'll hear in the industry. So that means basically I'm sharing a container with someone else. So it could be my sofa, and it could be your dining room table all on the same container. We're actually just bringing it over and sharing the cost of one container instead of spending all that money ourselves. So that's actually the best way to go and save the most money there.
It really is a great way to go. And recently, I was talking to somebody about an order that they had done, and I'm so excited to hear about, your lower warehousing costs. They had an order that they had brought in from, one of the bigger companies. I think it was, you mentioned furniture, so it's kind of funny because it goes with this example. I think it was Wayfair, and they were bringing furniture in. But Wayfair shipped the different items on different days. So when the order was put together, of course, it's all on one order, but the arrival dates were all different days. And so how does that work with the warehousing? I know that I think this is an important thing for people to understand, that
right.
shipment
and
doesn't
I'm so
ship
glad you
until
brought
it all
that up.
comes
Places
together,
like
right?
Pottery Barn and Wayfair, IKEA is another popular one. They don't offer shipping to the island, so customers here in the island, they have to find a freight forwarder, and that's what we do. So what would happen is if you're ordering multiple pieces, say from Wayfair, in the example that you give, as long as we're instructed by the customer, we will hold until all of those pieces are combined. So maybe it's a love seat and a sofa and a chair and a headboard and a footboard coming. And we would hold all of that if the customer would like us to until it all gets there to our warehouse, then put it on the container to come over. So you have all of it being delivered at once. But of course, if the customer wants it as soon as it's available, we can put it in the container. We sail twice a week over to Maui. So it can come over, and you're only about going to be a couple of days apart from each other. We got about a 6-day lapse from the time it gets over from California over to Maui. So it's not too bad. And sailing twice a week, then you're kind of back to back there. If you do miss the footboard and headboard, for example, you've already got the other pieces. But we can do it, however, the customer would like us to do it. So that's the beauty of consolidating in the mainland, because if they want all of the furniture they ordered to be sent at one time, we can hold it off and then send it all at one time. So great option for folks.
That's fantastic. And I know, you were talking about you also have locations on all islands. And really, given we were just talking about the Maine and Maui County Festival and getting product to different islands, and share as we're hoping to build relationships not only on the mainland for having wholesale buyers and distributors distribute our products, but also across the islands. Tell us a little bit about how that helps lead to your best-in-class service.
Absolutely. So we have our sister company, Royal Hawaiian Movers, locally based. They're asset-based here in the islands. Local teams on every single island. We have a Hilo location. We have a Kona location. We have our Kauai location. And then, of course, there in Maui, we got Jerry and his team there. And then, of course, our Honolulu location. So really great. They can coordinate picking things up, getting it inter-island for customers. Of course, it would go through Young Brothers, but our crew is then available on the next island to pick it up and get it out to the business or home, wherever the delivery needs to happen. And what I like about these guys is they live on the island. They've lived on the island for years and years, so these guys know their areas like the back of their hand. So any special challenges, maybe that windy road going up to Kula might take a little bit extra time, to navigate, or even going up to Hana, could take a little bit extra time to navigate. So these guys know that like the back of their hand. What I like about how we work together is we have technology. So when, for example, I would pick something up on the mainland for a customer in Hana, our folks know as soon as it's picked up, it goes into our software system, and it is tracked the entire way through. Jerry knows exactly when it's going to arrive into Maui, and then he'll be able to schedule that delivery from his location there in Maui up to Hana. So it just allows us to work together like that and keep that thing moving forward. Technology is always the way to go, and here in the future, right? So we're trying to keep up to date with all of that, so we have the communication lines open, and that's what really makes that incredible. I will tell you, one of the things I love helping customers with is getting product out of the islands to the mainland. So let's show Hawaii and what we have to offer, and generally speaking, we can get better rates going eastbound back to the mainland. So if you have a product that you're maybe can get into Costco, that would be awesome, because we could get those rates for you and get you over. And it tends to be a lot cheaper because they don't want to see those ships going back empty.
Right. Good point. So, that's one of the things that I was really impressed by was, and let's talk a little bit about that for a minute, which is the coordination that you do. Again, the person who had done the Wayfair order and was telling me about it said, when it comes to Wayfair, they didn't even know where to start. So Wayfair's shipping was so high that they said there must be a better way. And I said, well, there is. There's LCL, less than container load shipping. So there is a better way. But how do people who don't know or who are working with some of those big box groups that their shipping is higher, they don't really help you coordinate shipping unless you use their shipping. They give you a solution. What should they do, and to what degree can you help them navigate the process?
Absolutely. That's what I do. I am their one-stop shop. So whether they're moving a household or ordering new furniture, coming to the island, or maybe they want to get their products from Maui to the mainland, a retail store that needs replenishment all of the time. I've moved caterpillars for job sites to Florida. So it could be new home builds. I've brought in countertops from Italy over to a new home build. So I am the one-stop shop. I take care of that coordination for those guys. So they don't have to worry. I give them their options. And by having a conversation with them about timelines, what they're looking for, types of budgets that they have to work with, we can give them options. Some people may need something quickly, so I can give them the air cargo option. Some people want to save a little bit more money and be more cost-effective, so we're going to look at the ocean option. So to have that conversation is really the starting point, and I take it from there. I get the customer in touch with the right division because we have our worldwide division, we have our shipping, our ocean division, our air cargo, we have our trucking, and then we have all of our locations here on the island. So I would make sure that they're in touch with the right person. Even if they're doing an on-island move, I would get them in touch with Gary's team and be like, Gary, okay, these customers are coming to see you because they need to move from Lahaina over to Kihei. And so he can help them there locally. So they have someone in front of them. And I'm the one person that they call to find out where to go to make that happen.
Everybody needs that right person, It's the one that everybody says, oh, my gosh, you've just saved me so much time and taken that headache off of me because there's nothing worse than feeling stuck. And
exactly.
So you just get to that one person.
And you already have enough anxiety with moves or opening a new business or finishing a project. There's already enough anxiety involved in that. So let us help you take a little bit off of your plate that way. And one of the things I appreciate about the Chamber of Commerce is you guys have your directory set up there. So folks that want to get in touch with me, just go to the Chamber of Commerce directory, click on that directory tab, and look for approved forwarders, and all of my contact information is right there.
That's right. Thank you so much for that plug. I promise I didn't incentivize him for that plug. But thank you so much. We truly appreciate your valuable chamber membership and having you a part of our team serving the community. Thank you for that. And letting people know because yes, we definitely have the directory and it's a great way to get right in touch with Guy at Approved Freight Forwarders. Because, again, let him do the heavy lifting for you and make it easy. Isn't that what we all want when we can just get that amazing service? Let's talk about, though, also, there are different types of services the DeWitt family of companies, which Approved Freight Forwarders comes under, that you offer. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. Where do we start? So we can do ocean shipping, anything from a carton to a full container. We can do air cargo for you. We have warehousing available both in Hawaii and on the mainland. We do delivery and pickup on any of the islands. We will deliver and pick up anywhere on the mainland or in the world as far as that goes. We do have several large contracts that we work with. We work with the military contracts here in Oahu, and we move the military personnel in and out. And our worldwide division, we have connections all across the world because we work with the ambassadors whenever they're being placed and changing through presidency.
Less than 1 minute, Pam. Less than 1 minute.
Connections worldwide.
Thank you.
I know. It's always good to reach out if you're considering buying products internationally because I can give you some insight to which countries have the best tariffs right now.
Gaia, thank you so much. We're going to have to go, but I want to thank you for being on our show this morning. And I know that we could go on and on. This is such an amazing suite of services in one amazing company. So call Guy if he can be of service, Approved Freight Forwarders. That's all the time we have for Business Matters this morning, but I want to wish you blessings and aloha for a wonderful week, and hope you'll join us again next Tuesday. Hui ho.